If you think Zach looks happy, wait until you see me see the gold.
There's a bit of gold in that. It's a new drop riffle sluice mat made by ROE. Each one of these riffles is consecutively deeper, meaning that there's a different level of friction provided by each riffle, which means in turn there's more opportunity for different shaped and sized gold to drop out. Figure this is kind of a good spot to try it out. It's so important on drop riffle sluices to get your sluice perfectly level and have even water pressure over the whole lot. You can see here I don't. All the gravel is being pushed over onto this one side. The sluice box, however, is actually level. It's the water pressure. See how there's like different velocity waters across here? That difference in velocity is pushing all the gravels to one side. But it would appear that we have some stability in this, so I'm going to leave it for now. I'm a really big believer that buckets are heavy, cumbersome, and kind of annoying when you've got to transport them over ground like this. Enter the gold pan and classifier. I'm going to classify a pan and then tip it down the sluice. So instead of it taking me 3 minutes to do a pan, it's going to take me about 10 seconds. Gadsy Schwarzenegger. Yeah. Wow. Bench press it.
The gold on Reedy Creek is provided by conglomerate that runs either side of the creek for multiple kilometres. This was laid in by a glacier over 2.6 million years ago. And because of that, there are no nuggets. I promise you, I'm not losing anything in the classifier.
A few moments later.
My whole sluice box shifted and I caught it. The very second I put my leg in front of the fast water there, it changed the water pressure and this thing turned into a boat. So I've come over to this spot and now I've got it sitting on top of a rock, so it shouldn't go anywhere.
Well, at least that was the theory after some careful eyeballing.
My entire sluice box tried to run away.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. It didn't get far, I caught it.
Oh, that's good.
Right, let's try that again. Zachosaurus. What's up, buddy?
Gadsy and I had discovered this spot the day previous where we were getting over a couple hundred specks of gold in every single pan. And so today's mission was simply to finish the spot before some other shovel dogger got in there before us.
In theory, this should work better. The reason I always tip it out over the top of the riffles is so I can see what's left in the bottom of the pan. And it tells me if I'm on the gold, which I still certainly am. Holy crap. I feel like I should suck that up, but I'm going to tip it in. One pan and we have gold littering the mat. My sunnies. This is the fastest way I've ever found to use a river sluice, because you can use a bucket and you'll get more dirt at once, but they're way heavier and way harder to handle. This is quicker, lighter, less energy taxing, and unlike Gadsy, you don't have to do every individual pan.
No.
Two prospectors on the creek with straws of yarn.
I didn't bring the straw, guys.
You should have.
I was thinking about it.
That straw of God, we would be done by now.
I know.
The straw of yarn. In cinemas this December. I like aeroplanes. Aeroplane sandwich for me. We've got to check. We've got to check every pan. If the gold's going to be that good every pan. Yep. If every pan is like this today, it is going to be a good day. Hooks! Get your hooks!
Get your hooks. Get them now.
Sharp ones?
Sharp
Blunt ones?
Well, I've got screwdriver.
Well, this looks like a screwdriver job to me.
Yep. Be careful. That's my dad's screwdriver.
Oh,
Yep. It's a family heirloom.
that's
that thing.
undone a lot of nuts, that thing.
Yeah, it has. Look at the wear and tear on that thing.
I can still see some palm sweat on that.
Yeah.
This crevice has been giving me more than 100 specks of gold in every pan, and right deep down in the bottom you may be able to see is a little bit of gravel. You know that's going to have gold in it. And of course you would know. You're one of my valued subscribers and you are smart and intelligent and beautiful. So we're just going to get Gadsy's dad's screwdriver in there and give this thing a little bit of a screw. In theory, this will be the creme de la creme. Cha-ching! Cha-ching! Gadsy's dad's mustache comb. Woo. All I've done is pick it out of the water and I've got gold in that top corner. I decided to steal Gadsy's scoop because I didn't want to interrupt the flow of those drop riffles. They're so sensitive to any kind of water change that you can easily lose gold. So we're going to go with a more gentle approach. Quick little swirl back just to see if there is gold. Oh yes, Gadsy's dad's mustache comb did the trick. Look at that. I've only tipped 4 pans down this and look at the gold sitting right at the top of the mat. I do believe it is time to get to work.
2,000 years later.
I've done 6 pans and the sluice is loaded with black sand. I absolutely could keep processing dirt on top of that, but I want to know how much gold I've got, so I'm going to pull the sluice box and just clean out and see how much I've got so far. That mat is loaded, absolutely loaded. This is the product of just 6 pans. That mat's kind of cool, it doesn't give you overly much concentrates. It should be fairly easy to pan down, but damn, there's a lot of black sand. I actually think I'm losing a little bit of gold out of that mat because I was definitely seeing more gold in the bottom of each pan. I won't really know until I clean it all out of that black sand though. The thing you have to remember is not all tools are designed to work in all areas. You have to pick the right sluice box, the right matting, the right flow rate, the right pump, the right shovel for the spot that you're working. Reedy Creek black sand is amongst the most difficult to move. It's tin, it's non-magnetic, it is super dense. You have everything from super fine black sand to really coarse black sand, and all of that interlinks into some sort of cement. To get a sluice box to work efficiently on that is very difficult. To the point where even Dream Mat struggles to deal with this black sand. So I'm definitely going to take that drop riffle sluice mat back to another creek, but I think for now I'm going to stick with panning. This trench was ridiculously rich. It led to this little crevice here. That was also ridiculously rich. And then I got down to the bottom here and there was a lot of black sand. But alas, I am not a black sand miner because there was barely any gold. Mick's been working this beautiful bedrock outcropping, and the first pan I saw him do from his clean out was mental. He's still got gold on it. You know you've been prospecting for a little while when you get really nonchalant about gold. It's like, oh, there's a bit of gold stuck to that. You are Cornish, aren't you?
A little bit.
We have the Cornish tin miners to thank for ground sluicing in Australia. They were the ones that, when they immigrated for the gold rush, introduced that method of gold extraction to the gold fields around this area. But they started as tin miners.
And they would have been hitting a jackpot here. Jesus.
Yeah, they'd be
really special.
They'd be rich here. There's a decent amount of fine gold in it. The problem is it's mixed in with that tin, and that is a nightmare to separate panning. You've got to really use a miller table or a blue ball or something like that. That is a 3-beer job, Mick. Show me the gold, pan hub man. Your black sand looks remarkably similar to mine and Mick's. I just haven't been panning or prospecting on creeks for the last several months, so this is the best day I've had on a creek literally in 2023. The best day. And even though Gadsy's not happy that he wasn't getting pixie pans, it's not like he didn't find a good amount of gold.
I don't want pixie pans.
I told you, you don't get your pixie pangs if you don't suffer.
I'm suffering.
Well, Swirly wasn't working, but you get the idea. You get the idea. You're going to have to go watch Gadsy's video if you want to see how much he actually got. How much do you reckon?
Oh, well, I got...
In coffees.
In coffees? Ooh, about 10 coffees.
Miller tables work just like sluice boxes, except they're designed to separate the gold from the black sand, as opposed to a regular sluice box, which is designed to separate the gold and heavies from the dirt. We set up and run the Miller table exactly the same as what we would run a high banker or sluice box. We change the water flow and the angle depending on the material we're trying to separate the gold away from. And instead of using a large volume of water, the Miller tables use a very small, thin sheet of water to help achieve this. And once we have the dirt separated away from the gold, we end up with clean gold that we push into a little hole that has a collection vial underneath it. Before we can turn that into pure clean gold like that, we need to classify. Typically speaking, we don't get very many chunky pieces of gold at Reedy Creek. So this is everything we collected that was over 30 mesh. Not terribly much. Whereas everything below 30 mesh, that's looking really good. Enter the 50 mesh classifier. Miller tables work best if you classify your material. So if most of your gold is under 50 mesh, you don't want to run that material with stuff that's over 50 mesh because you're making tiny little pieces of gold fight with really big pieces of dense black sand. So taking the time to do this stage makes sure that we have a smooth run when we run it over this. Oh, that's looking pretty good. That's looking real good. And that just means that the very tiny gold like this doesn't have to compete with large chunky black sand like that. Le spoon. The brush. We use a very nice soft bristle brush just like this to manipulate our concentrates. And by manipulating them, we force the black sand to move and the gold to stay behind. Sometimes with concentrates like this, you can accidentally invite the surface tension of the water down in underneath your concentrates, and that makes gold float out the end, which is precisely why I have a catch container down here. Because at some stage later on in my life, I'm going to run that through mercury. But for now, you can use the bow wave trick. If you put the brush in, you can see waves at the front, and that is a pressure wave. If I move that pressure wave closer to the black sand, see that? And that way, you're not actually inviting the brush down on top of the gold. That is looking super respectable for a little sluice run like that. That's just our under 50 mesh gold too. It is literally impossible for me to overstate how difficult Reedy Creek gold is to recover. It's paper thin, very flat. That means the more surface tension the piece of gold has, the more likely it is to be shifted out due to friction in the gold pan or a sluice box, or by water surface tension in a system like this. Which is why when you get an incredibly flat flake like these pieces just here, they want to move with the water. Again, I'm not losing anything. I can rerun this through different systems. What I'm trying to get at is that depending on where you're at in the world and what kind of heavies you're trying to separate your gold from, you're going to need possibly multiple systems to 100% recover all of the gold you collected in your sluice box. One particular item won't necessarily do the job for you. I have a clean catch container over this part of my Miller table, and the reason for that is when I move this to go into my collection jar down here, the surface tension might take some gold. Now that the 50 mesh is done, we're going to do exactly the same process for every other classification. It's not a bad little hole. All right, let's melt that. Well, the sun is going down this evening, but we've got just enough time to get this into a liquidy ball. I'm running a really small furnace setup. It works great for doing this kind of melting, but I want to improve on that so I can do proper fire assays on my hard rock mining. The only way I'm going to be able to do that is to invest a whole bunch of money into various smelting equipment. And on that note, if you would like to support the channel, Patreon costs just $2 a month to sign up. There's no long-term commitments. We give away gear, pay dirt, gold ore every single month. And you get early access to videos. So the link for that is in the description below. Let's get melting. Generally speaking, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to melt the gold in this, but I've got brand new fittings, so I'm thinking it might be a little quicker this time.
almost at the point where I'm going to be able to tip it out. It's white hot in there. Turn the outside light off just so you can see just how hot that bead is. Now, I don't know if the gold came out in that. I really hope it did. How to turn all this off? I've been very confused because I can't see nothing in here. There's no gold. Normally it just pops out. I was like, all right, so it's got to be in there somewhere, right? But it was still in there. It's right here. I've made some kind of bizarre nugget. This is about the coolest thing I've ever seen. I hadn't quite got the gold up to temperature yet, but what it did was fuse all the flakes together. Look at that. So I can absolutely put this back in the furnace and melt it down. But I kind of don't want to because it just looks cool. I mean, it's pointless. It doesn't add any value. But it's so pretty. Now, obviously, there is a whole bunch of impurities in that now. And cleaning it up was kind of pointless, but 2.45? I'm going to say that that's probably about a gram's worth of gold. Sure was fun making it, but